Are you headed to Northern Tier and looking for ideas on how to document your trip? Because documenting your trip is a great idea. So short of writing in a journal, what electronic options are available to you? Well, in this video, we're going to look at some different options that are common to many people going to Northern Tier, and we're going to look at each of those options and their advantages and disadvantages.
Hey, real quick, right before we jump into this video, if you'd do me a huge favor and hit that like button. Also, thank you for subscribing to this channel. If you'd like to be notified of future videos, please hit that bell icon. Have a great day and enjoy this video.
There are two things we need to discuss before we get started. First, this video isn't going to explain you how to use a camera. I'm just going to help you walk through the things that I think you need to think about when deciding what maybe the best camera you should take to Northern Tier. And second, we need to talk about the environment you'll be in. The environment at Northern Tier is two things that matter to you in your camera selection. First, Northern Tier is about water. Lots and lots of water. And second, the environment at Northern Tier is very rugged. So why do you need to think about water and it being rugged? Well, first, water typically isn't kind to electronics that weren't made for water, okay? And you'll be on or perhaps in the water a lot. And also the terrain is rugged. That means the terrain is very unforgiving to delicate things like most electronics. There are a lot of rocks, there's mud, there's muck. It's just not a pleasant place for most cameras. So when making your decision, you need to consider getting your camera wet and or possibly accidentally dropping it on a rock. If you get those two things settled down, you'll be well prepared to make your decision on what camera you feel like you should take to Northern Tier. And let's also talk very quickly about what kind of end product you want. If you simply want to take some pictures and maybe some video, then most cameras will help you do that. And that's what I'm going to discuss in this video. However, if you want a more cinematic video or more professional looking photographs, well, that's going to be something entirely different, which would typically mean for most, you're going to take a mirrorless DSLR camera, and I'm not going to talk about that in this video. So this video is just about most options for most participants that are going to Northern Tier. And with all that out of the way, let's start looking at some options. Now, for most of us, the first option you'll think about is using your cell phone. And I can understand, using your cell phone seems like a very attractive solution. You probably already own a cell phone, and you're likely very familiar with using it. And in theory, assuming you can get a cell signal, when back at base camp, you should be able to share your pictures and video with the world upon your return. And there's no extra steps needed. You don't need to download anything or transfer any files. You just start uploading your pictures to social media if you're into that sort of thing. So those are some advantages of having a cell phone, but let's think through some disadvantages. Now, what if you lose your cell phone? What if you dropped it in a lake or you got it wet and ruined it? I mean, Northern Tier is surrounded by water. What if you end up swimming with it? You were taking some pictures with it and you rolled it over. Okay, what if you drop it and break your screen? Or what if you break the phone itself? Would that be a problem? Do you need your cell phone when you get back off the trail? To call home, check in for a flight, range travel? I just want you to imagine not having your cell phone for a week. Could you live without it for that long? Now, all that being said, you could put your cell phone inside of a waterproof enclosure, and that can be an option. Also, I want you to make sure that if you are going to take your phone, in addition to keeping it dry, what are you going to do if you damage it if it's dropped. And for a lot of phones nowadays, you need to consider how much storage space you have on the phone. So that'll limit how much video and pictures you can take. Now the next option is a waterproof, ruggedized point-and-shoot camera. Now, waterproof and ruggedized point-and-shoot camera seems like a great option, and it is. If you lose it, well, you haven't lost your cell phone. And if they're ruggedized, they can usually take being dropped and still be okay. And they should be waterproof enough to go snorkeling, so swimming isn't an issue. The usual disadvantage is their picture quality. Usually these models have small lenses and small sensors, so their picture and video quality, although acceptable for most, would be clearly not as high quality as other choices. I would even say as high quality as using a GoPro. So you just need to understand, if you're looking for super high quality images or video, a ruggedized point and shoot camera likely won't give you the result that you're looking for. Now, GoPros. GoPros are one of my favorite action cameras. They're lightweight, small, they're waterproof, and they're very tough. And they actually take great video and pictures. Now, not as good as, say, my DSLR cameras, but for what you get, they take really good images and video. Now, one of the advantages, or you could say disadvantages, of a GoPro is it has a very wide lens. The advantage to that is you can be very close to your subject and you can be ensured that your subject will be in frame. Now, the disadvantage to that will be that they don't really have a telephoto lens. So that's the difference between the two. Another advantage or disadvantage, depending on what you're looking for, is everything will be in focus. So you're not going to miss an opportunity, or the video won't be ruined because something wasn't in focus. So if you're looking for a cinematic type image or video where the background's slightly blurred out, that's not going to happen with a GoPro. Everything's going to be in focus with the GoPro. Now, one of the disadvantages of GoPro is, well, you have to own one. So you have to buy it or at least borrow one. You're going to need a lot of batteries. Now, personally, from experience, I like 4 charged up batteries per day to ensure that I have enough power on hand to record a lot of video that day. And of course, I'm recording a lot of video and taking a lot of pictures. That probably is a little much for most people, but I take 4. And then I'm recharging those batteries at night so that I have 4 fresh charged batteries to go for the next day of the trip. Another option that you possibly haven't thought of is a 360 camera. Now, a 360 camera can be a great option. They can be small and lightweight. And the one thing about a 360 camera is that they take video from a 360-degree sphere around the camera. So they're literally shooting everything around them. Up, down, sideways, left, right, forward, backwards, all at the same time. So one great advantage of that is you can shoot one piece of video, and from that you can extract out several different frames of video, like a piece of video looking forward, a piece of video looking to the side. You can rotate the video around. You can do a lot of really cool things with a 360 camera. Like a GoPro, depending on how you're looking at it, everything will be in focus, so you can never miss a shot. And you'll also not ever miss a shot because the camera shoots a video of everything around it all at one time. You can get 360 cameras that are waterproof, but one of the disadvantages of a 360 camera is the lenses are usually very easily scratched. Another disadvantage of a 360 camera is usually you need software to extract the video into something useful. And so therefore you probably have to wait till you get back home to use the video out of your 360 camera. Another thing to consider is the image quality is directly related to the size of the sensor, which is related to the size of the lens. So the larger the lens, the larger the sensor, the better the video quality, but then also the larger lenses are more exposed and therefore easier to scratch. If you're going to take a 360 camera, I'd recommend you take one with the largest sensor you can afford to buy. And then I would recommend that you take that video in at least 4K. I would actually recommend you take it in higher quality video. So therefore, when you extract the video into 1080p or 4K, it'll be at a lower resolution, but you will have a better image quality. I would say the image quality of a 360 camera is about the same as a ruggedized point-and-shoot camera. Now, I'm not going to go into taking a DSLR in this video. I'm assuming that if you are going to take a DSLR to Northern Tier, you understand what you're doing and what the risks are, and I'm not going to waste your time here. But if you wanted more of a cinematic look, where the subject's in focus and the background's blurred out, you're going to have to do that optically with a DSLR or some other camera that affords you that option. All right, what other things do we need to consider when you're choosing what camera to take? Well, first, you'll need to consider power. You're going to need to make sure that you have enough batteries or a way to recharge your camera in the backcountry. Now, personally, I found solar panels to be a waste of time, so I've come to rely on batteries or battery bricks instead. I'd also highly recommend that you take multiple memory cards. Sometimes there's a card failure, so I bring extra memory cards. And I also recommend that you try to switch memory cards every day or so. If you lose a memory card or there's a card failure, you haven't lost all of your pictures or your video for that part of your trip or your whole trip. You also need to think about accessibility. How are you going to use your camera while you're on the water, like in the canoe? I mean, most of your trip's going to be in a canoe on the water, so you don't want to miss most of your trip because you can't have access to your camera. And then while you're in the canoe and using your camera, what if you accidentally roll the canoe over? Is that going to be a problem? How are you going to, you just need to think through that. If you roll the canoe over, you end up swimming with your camera, whatever you've chosen to do, is that going to be a problem? Okay? Is that going to be a complete nightmare? Like, have you dropped your phone in the lake and you're not going to get it back? You just need to think through those things when you're making your decision. All right, so to close, you really should document your trip. Now, I've done a lot of high adventure trips and a lot of trips over the past few decades, and I can tell you from experience, the memory fades fast. And it's not just because I'm getting old. No, literally, you won't have a lot of memory of those fun things that happened as time goes on. You're just not going to remember them. You'll have some memories, don't get me wrong, but you won't be able to really be able to immerse yourself more or less back into that experience. Also remember that when you document your trip, you're taking video, your pictures, you're capturing a moment in time. And with video, you're capturing how people were at that age, what their personality was like, just all sorts of details that can't be captured in any other way. So I'd highly encourage you to really document your trip with a lot of video. Take pictures, but also take a lot of video. And that wraps up this video. I hope this information was helpful to you. And with that, have a blessed day.
Hey, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you'd like to support this channel, remember, please subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends about it. Thanks for hitting that like button. Everything here is free. I want to give back to the community. I want to give to you everything here for free. I've been out in the outdoors for a long, long time, and it's great that I can be able to give all this information to you. That is what's most important to me. If you would like to give back, I do have a GoFundMe page set up, and you can follow the link. And if you'd like to, if you're a youth with your parents' support, I would gladly accept your donations. Thank you, and have a blessed day.